be interested. So what can I do? So Krishna became a boatman, and he invited the gopis onto his boat. And once they were on the boat, Krishna started rocking the boat. This is a line drawing of that same, if you could hold it up high, next to the, not in front of the thing, but next to it. This is the boat lila. When Krishna's rocking, and he's telling the gopis that they were getting so scared that you'll have to throw your heavy pots of yogurt off the boat because it's making the boat sink. So they threw off all their yogurt pots, and that's what you see flying. Can you hold this up? And then he said, now your ornaments are too heavy. So they threw off their ornaments. Then he said, now your clothes are too heavy. So then Radharani held on to Krishna's neck as the boat was rocking, and that's why he did the pastime. And this one here, you can see the line drawing. Krishna is acting as the boat man, inviting the gopis onto the boat. Okay. And when I was first showing Gurudev these, this is Annakut, Krishna's Annakut festival. When I was first showing Gurudev the drawings, because he said they had to be finished in a few days, because the sculptors were almost ready for them, every time I showed Gurudev the drawings, he acted like he didn't want to see them. And when I had to ask an emergency question after his class in Mathura at Keshavji Gaudiya Math, because we rented a big bus or a big van, and every day, no matter how expensive it was, we wanted to go to Gurudev's evening classes before he came to Govardhana. So we rented vans or mini buses, and all the artists would pack into the bus and go to the Gurudev's class and then come back from his class in the evening and again start working. So I wanted to ask Gurudev, this was a few months before that, I wanted to ask Gurudev a question about the pictures we were doing. And most of you have been to Mathura, so you see how devotees talk to Gurudev while the second kirtan is going on, and they like whisper to each other. So I had my very important art question, but he acted like he said, can't hear, don't talk to me now. And every time I wanted to talk to him, he acted like he had no time. And I showed him the pencil drawing of Dan Gati Lila. And he said, I don't understand what this is, because when you look at pencil, sometimes because the lines aren't so clear in pencil, he acted like he couldn't tell the difference between the arms and the tree trunks. So he would just go like that. But we weren't deterred. We just kept going, and more artists kept joining, and then we got all the artists together, and we had about 15 drawings. Then he gave us time to have a whole special meeting with him so that he could show the drawings to the sculptor. So when we started showing him the drawings, Gurudev said, I cheated you for this. Cheated means tricked. That is, I just kept pretending I was ignoring you just to churn up some emotions in the heart. And then the pictures got better because of his churning. Just like Gurudev, we know he has all mystic powers. He could easily not only take a flight here, but he could fly here because he has more powers even, believe it or not. He has more powers than Narada Muni. But he's doing this, being in excruciating pain, Leela, and trying hard to get here but not being able to come here, Leela, to churn our emotions. So these are the paintings when they're almost finished. Okay. This is the beginning of the miracle story. That is, Manjari was in charge of this painting, and she would engage other devotees to help her. And most everything was done on this painting except for Krishna. Krishna was completely white. And it was the last day before the Purandara Prabhu, who was the manager of all the construction work going on in Govardhana. They had hired about 150 workers who were also working from morning till late night. They had, even when the sun went down, they had their electric lights going, and they were still making doors and walkways and staircases and railings and carvings. So he said, I'm sorry, you have to take all that scaffolding down the day before Gurudev came, because they had to shine up all the marble and fix everything, and we weren't ready. So now the scaffolding started to come down, and Krishna wasn't even begun. So now they started taking off the scaffolding, and then they kept going, and I would have just fell and died because all the scaffolding was coming down and the ladders were coming down. So the devotees, so I had just started, and we only had the scaffolding was coming down. Actually, we had no time, but I wanted to try to get Gurudev's mercy that within the next half hour the whole Krishna could manifest. So myself and that Govardhana-born artist, what's his name? Viswambar, he was working on Krishna, and I was working on Krishna simultaneously, and we needed a half hour, but we didn't have the half hour. So Vasanti and Anita and the girls who were downstairs on the ground, they wanted to divert the attention of the construction workers who were taking down the... You can keep going. Huh? You wanted to what? To divert their attention. So... Oh, they didn't know they were diverting their attention. Oh, I see. In the beginning, that wasn't their plan. They were just taking pictures of the progress of the painting. So they started taking pictures of us doing the paintings, and then the workers saw them. And you know how Indians are? They start posing and smiling. Right. So here, they started being in the picture, getting into nice poses and stopping. They started stopping untying the scaffolding. There's the one who's standing is Viswambar. He was the one that was working with me and praying with me. And I couldn't believe it. As we were painting, like we know that we're not doing the paintings, it's Gurudev, it's Prabhupada, they're doing the paintings, but with this, for every stroke we made, 10 strokes happened. You'd have to have been there to see it. Every stroke came 10 strokes. So then, they wanted to see their picture in the digital camera. So they all went down to look in their camera, and then the devotees realized what was happening, that is our devotees, realized what was happening. You can see all the ropes coming down. So then they started a kirtan, and then all the workers joined the kirtan. So now we knew we had the time. So now the workers are all in the kirtan, and there's all right. So it was stalling. There's Anita and the workers. And then Dinabandhu came and made it a better kirtan. And then the workers all wanted their pictures, and Manjari came and she was singing. And meanwhile, we're up on the rafters. We're up on the rafters trying to finish this Krishna on Govardhana. There's Radhalata and Manjari and Mathilesh. So then that all happened. Okay. And then finally it was done. And then we're coming down. And then the scaffolding all came down, and the next day they cleaned everything, and the day after it, Gurudev came. You have that now? Finally, Gurudev, and we hadn't slept for days, and then Gurudev came. And first he went in to offer his obeisances to Radha Vinod Bihari. And as you can see, there's all these painted sculptures on the sides inside the temple. And those painted sculptures are similar to the ones that you see at Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Mutt. And they had been doing the same ones. You can hold it there a minute. They had been doing the same paintings for 20 years. So they did all their paintings in 10 days. And ours was taking many weeks because none of us had ever done sculptings before, and none of us had ever done big things before, and most most of us artists hadn't even done any paintings before. So behind Gurudev, you can see, this is in the back of the temple, you can see Radharani leaving the Rasa dance. And Gurudev wanted these paintings in his own mood. Inside the temple, the Bengali sculptor artist had already done the typical Krishna and Radha and the gopis. There's many Krishnas and they're all dancing. But Gurudev wanted these Govardhana paintings in his mood, and that's why he insisted that we do the drawings and not the Bengali sculptings. Because in this Rasa Leela, it's not just the normal Rasa Leela dancing, but as you can see, in this 10-foot long, 5-foot high painting, Radharani sees that Krishna is dancing with so many gopis. And she's saying, Krishna says that I'm his only beloved, but I see he's dancing with everybody. What a cheater. So then she walks out, and then as you can see, Krishna stopped dancing, and he's saying, where did Radharani go? And all the other gopis, they're also, hey, what happened? There's no Krishna anymore. Okay. And Gurudev is telling us that he's giving blessings to all the artists. And pointing and telling the leelas of what's happening. Yeah. So Santi wants to say something about the miracle. Thanks. And here, this was Gurudev had a darshan with all the artists so that they can get his personal darshan during that Braj Mandal Parikrama. And by the way, can you go back once? See that Bengali man sitting there? Yeah, right. Which one? The one who had like his hands on his... he was our homeopathic doctor. Many of us were going to him because we were falling apart. So we would all go to this homeopathic doctor, Mohanlal Masanta. So then we took him for a darshan with Gurudev, and Gurudev ordered him to open a free dispensary at Govardhana. So this year he opened it, and just now we had an opening ceremony of the free homeopathic dispensary at Govardhana. So you'll see him when you go there. Okay. Yeah. Not daily, and it's starting once a week. Now the paintings will come. Which paintings? Govardhana? Okay. Now these are the almost finished Govardhana paintings. And I'll show you the line drawing, because first we were doing the pencil line drawings. We were doing the pencil line drawings, and because Gurudev did the pastime of saying, I can't understand what's going on, we realized that for the sculptors to know what's going on, we'd have to do pen and ink so that each line would be completely crisp and clear. So the sculptors could sculpt from the line drawings. So this is a line drawing of that Krishna lifting the hill. But the picture of Krishna lifting the hill, the sculpting, is also inside the temple, done by the Bengali sculptors, but Gurudev wanted this in his own mood too. So you see here, Radharani and Krishna are staring at each other, and Krishna is getting so lost in reverie that his pitambara, his shawl, is falling off his shoulders. His flute already fell from his hand. His peacock feather is falling. His whole turban is falling. And he's just about to faint. So there's Madhumangal, the one in the black dhoti next to Krishna. There's Madhumangal leaning over and pinching Krishna on his side, holding on to him on one side, pinching him on the other, and saying, Krishna, this is no time to faint. So that's Madhurya Leela going on, and there's Radharani and Krishna staring at each other. And then there's Radharani's two Sakis on the two sides, kind of holding Radharani up. And then, if you could hold that once more. And to the left of the gopi holding Radharani's waist, do you see one gopi going like this, pointing her finger up at Giriraj? She is actually warning Giriraj that if you drop any amount towards falling on Krishna, I'm going to curse you that you're going to become ashes. The gopis are so powerful. And then there's the coward boys holding up the sticks, thinking that they needed to help Krishna hold up the hill. And there's the elderly coward men, thinking that it's because of Nanda Maharaj's austerities that the hill is just holding itself up. And there's Mother Yasoda in complete anxiety that the hill might fall on Krishna. And there's Balaram is knowing that everything's fine. And he's knowing that everything's fine. Okay. And this is the finished one of Dangati. And this Krishna is telling the gopis that they have to pay a tax before they can get across. And you can see the coward boys are standing there as guards, blocking the way. And this is the Dandi Vartan again, when the gopis retaliate. And this is a clear picture. Actually, Ragalata and Lalita actually. Lalita and Ragalata did most of the work on this Surendu picture. I had done a little bit, but then Lalita came and did 10 times better than me to develop it further. And this is again Kusham Sarovara. These are some close-ups so that the devotees could see that these are real jewelry. Besides the painting, after that, it was, what's her name from Australia? Sushila had the idea, because everything was taking so long, we had so short a time, and it would have taken, the jewelry was sculpted and we would have had to paint them. But Sushila thought, what if we get real jewelry? And as you know, in India, there's the cheapest and most gorgeous jewelry you can imagine, because that's the land of deities. So we took her seriously, and we went to the shops, and some devotees began putting on jewelry. This year, who put on all this jewelry is Dinabandhu and Ragalata. And when you see it in person, it's just the most magnificent thing. When Gurudev saw it, actually one of the devotees walked up to him with a basket of the jewelry pieces, and Gurudev said, no Indian can think of this. Only Westerners could think of this. And he was really amazed at the whole thing. And this is Lord Buddha from the Das Avatars. Kalki and Vasanti played a big part in painting this, though she had never painted before. Korma, Matsya, Vasant had a big part in that, and he never painted before. What's his name? Achyuta Krishna. Achyuta fell off the rafters, painting Lord Nrsingadev, and that was a big jump, big drop, like 10 feet. And then it was so painful, but he continued working. Fine the next day. And this is holy. This is also about 15 feet long, and about 5 or 6 devotees were working simultaneously. We had about 1.5 days to do this picture. This was the second miracle painting, where every stroke you made, 10 strokes happened. And the line drawing is here. I started the line drawing of this, but then because I had to start working on other line drawings, Manjari of Aragon, who you all know, the singer, she finished this line drawing. She inked the whole thing and finished the drawing. Very exciting. As you can see, birds flying, dresses swirling. Okay. And this is another one of the Das Avatars, that is Parsuram and Ram. And sometimes we couldn't go to, you can show Ram again? Sometimes we couldn't go to Mathura, but Vasanti went, and she went with the computer because we took photographs of the pictures as they were developing to show Gurudev to see if they were all right. And Ram was a little more bluish before, so she showed it to Gurudev Ram's face, and Gurudev said make it more green like grass. So then we changed that. So we had contact with Gurudev through the computers. And when we were in the middle of the marathon, when Gurudev was still doing the Brajmandal Parikrama in Mathura, before he came to Govardhana, it was Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj's disappearance day on the first day of Kartik. So all the artists went, and we were showing Gurudev in his room the in-progress bas reliefs. And then Gurudev, knowing that because everything that he does is intentional. Even if he ignores us, it's intentional. Or if he pretends we're not there, it's all intentional to churn emotions. Forget your name, it's all totally intentional. Prem Prayojana Prabhu, Aranya Maharaj, he told me that Gurudev for 6 months was acting like he was forgetting his name, just to get humility there. So, so he intentionally gave us the order to do these, to paint the bas reliefs late. And when I showed him the in-progress sculptures on the computer, he said, if I had given you the order 5 days earlier, you could have... And then I said, yes, you're just like our Prabhupada, because he gave us an order to complete 17 volumes. That is, us artists and the editors and publishers and layout designers. He gave us an order to do 17 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita and 2 volumes of 5th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam in 2 months. He said, and then we were going crazy also, not sleeping or anything. So Gurudev said, yes, I am just like him. He is Bhaktivedanta, and I am also Bhaktivedanta. I am no less than him. Okay. And this is Vamadev, mostly done from a color sketch done by one artist who'd never done the drawing before, and then one Russian artist. She did the painting from the color sketch. This is Varaha again. Now here you can see the jewelry close up. The jewelry that was... And we couldn't figure out how to get the jewelry to stay on a vertical piece, because generally glue dries after some time. So we tried to put the glue up, but still the pictures were falling, and the glue was also dripping. So finally, after much endeavor and research, somebody suggested epoxy, that it's like a gum, and you get resin, and then you get 2 and you paste them together and you knead them together, and it goes right on. And it dries in some minutes, so you have time to correct yourself if you have to, but then it stays. And even the next year, when we came back this year, after Kartik, we came back this year, and we again built rafters, though not so many, and the jewelry was still there, it was still shiny, because last year when we came to Hawaii, we bought some outdoor Western semi-gloss varnish. And so when we got back to Govardhana, Bakula from Germany varnished all the jewelry and varnished all the sculptings, so they wouldn't fade by the weather, or they wouldn't tarnish and turn black. And so this year we put on more jewelry, and the jewelry from last year, this was last year's, still remained shiny, because we wanted to last for thousands of years. So this is a sculpting of Kusham Sarovara, where Krishna is saying, who are you who's stealing all my flowers? And Radharani is saying, what do you mean, who am I? You don't know who I am? And Krishna said, if I knew who you were, would I be asking you? You know, just like boys and girls who love each other, they don't really have anything important to say, but they're just saying anything just as an excuse to talk. So where does that come from? Janmad Yasya Taha. It comes from the origin of everything, the absolute truth, Radha and Krishna. And this was done by a Russian, very expert artist, Vasudev. We gave him the color sketch, and he did the bas relief of Hanuman after he put down Govardhana. And here you can see Govardhana's face as part of the mountain. And Govardhana was lamenting that because he wanted to go to the place where Ram was throwing the rocks to build the bridge to Lanka, but then Hanuman put him down early because Ram sent out an aerial voice that, okay, we have enough rocks for the bridge now, so wherever those rocks are that you're still carrying, you can put them down now. And he just happened to be flying over Braj. So he put him down, and Govardhana was lamenting that he couldn't be used in Ram's service. So then Ram told Hanuman, who told Govardhana, that don't worry, in my Krishna Leela, you'll be there. And this is Hanuman carrying Govardhana. Gurudev wanted us to do diptychs. We have the triptychs and also the diptychs. There's Hanuman carrying Govardhana, and the next one was Hanuman blessing Govardhana, that you'll get Krishna's association. So all the pictures were decided by Gurudev. Then actually Gurudev posed for this Hanuman because I had done the drawing in a different way, and Gurudev posed. And this is Gurudev loved this one of Radharani being afraid and holding on to the neck of Krishna. This is Pulastya Rishi carrying Govardhana to Kasi, so that he could do his bhajan there. And then Govardhana said, I'll go with you, but if you put me down at any time, then you won't be able to pick me up. So by the will of Krishna, he had to go to the bathroom. So we put him down right when he was walking through Braj, and then Govardhana wouldn't walk anymore. So he cursed Govardhana this is the cursing one, he cursed Govardhana that you'll decrease in size by a mustard seed every day. So that curse came true, not because of the curse, but because after Krishna disappeared, Govardhana is lamenting, and in his lamentation he's decreasing his size. Okay. And this is the deities, Radha, Vinod Bihari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Giriraj Govardhan, and Param Gurudev. And Gurudev installed them that same year that the paintings were ready. And you'll all be happy to know, I'm sure most of you have felt a pinching sensation whenever you went to any Indian temple of Gurudev's, because on the altar was everybody except for Prabhupada. So this year, it's the first Indian Gurudev temple that has Prabhupada in his rightful place just before Param Gurudev. So there's Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, Prabhupada, and Param Gurudev. And we're going to be showing this row of pictures to the other Indian temples for them to follow. And also, just as we were leaving to come to Hawaii, Vrindavan Vilasini raced into Govardhan with Uddhava Prabhu with giant pictures of Prabhupada and Param Gurudev and Srila Trivikram Maharaj to put on the walls of the Govardhan temple, because Gurudev had ordered her to do that the year before, and she was just coming. So now you'll see Prabhupada also and the Guru Parampara on the walls. Big. Okay, now we're switching to, you have the, on there too? We're switching to, where did Gurudev give that order? In Mathura also, Gurudev gave the order to do line drawings for his two new Hindi books, Prem Samput and Chamatkar Chandrika. Prem Samput, those of you who were in Brajmanu Parikrama, you know that he gave 6 classes on that ecstatic pastime of Radha and Krishna's conversation. So he said, in 2 weeks I want this picture finished. And then he was saying, should it be just a line drawing or a painting? But Krishna has to be blue. So then we were thinking of making a line drawing. And this is the unveiling. The paintings were just finished. So we showed Gurudev the beginning of the painting, and he said, you have to finish this in 2 weeks. And there was no way that we could finish it. So we had to give up our whole Brajmandala Parikrama. And I wasn't truthful with him. I thought I was being truthful. And in the middle of Brajmandala Parikrama in Vrindavan, I said, we still have 4 more days of doing these paintings, and I've cut back on my rounds. I have to tell you, I've cut back on my rounds so that I could finish the paintings. I can't have cold. It's okay. It doesn't matter. I've cut back on my rounds to finish the paintings, and at the same time, the paintings won't let me finish them. Everything is going wrong that I'm doing. So I don't know what to do. So Gurudev said, no matter, I will give you the fruit of my chanting. So then there was another devotee sitting in the room with him. He said, will you give me the fruit of your chanting? Will you give me the fruit of your chanting too? And Gurudev said, no, she's gone back on her chanting because of this. So I'll give the fruit of my chanting. But then it took more than 4 days, so he stopped giving the fruit of his chanting. Okay. So this is the finished, what I thought was the finished painting, but I wasn't satisfied. There weren't enough flowers in it, and there were some things that were bothering me about it. So then we kept going, and this is the final finished painting that you see on the easel, with a lot more flowers on it. Plus the, what do you call it? The archways around them are darker, so that it creates more depth. The story is that's a good question. The story is that Krishna always likes to taste the love of Radharani because he doesn't have that amount of love in him. So he tries all different ways. So this time he is disguised as a demigoddess from Swarga, from heaven. And he came disguised as a demigoddess, looking very sad, with his sari pulled partly over his face so nobody could see who he was. And it was a pink sari, the book said. And so Lalita and Visakha went there to bring him closer. Gurudev said we should put him at least on a carpet. So you see the carpet in the courtyard of Radharani's mother-in-law, that is Jatila's house, palace. But they're away. The in-laws are away for some time. So then Krishna, the demigoddess, sits down, and Radharani goes and sits down next to him and starts asking, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you speaking? Why are you looking so sad? But Krishna wouldn't answer. And Radharani kept offering different remedies. Vishaka, go and get the Narayani, Mahanarayani massage oil, and I'll massage her, and we'll bathe her. And if that doesn't work, then we know that she's just cheating, because this oil works on everybody to give them a new life. And then Radharani starts asking all kinds of questions. Is it that you got married to some husband who you don't really like, and you have another lover who's impossible to attain, which Radharani considers her situation to be? Or is it that your husband doesn't like you and he has another lover? Or she's asking all kinds of speculations. And finally, the demigoddess disguised Krishna begins to speak. And he says that actually, you're the cause of my coming down. I'm a demigoddess from heaven, and you're the cause of my coming here, because I can't bear to see that you're giving your love to Krishna, and I can't bear to experience the suffering that he's causing you. I was up in heaven, and us demigoddesses heard the sound of Krishna's flute. So I immediately came to earth where the source of that sound came from, and I sat down on one of the branches of the Bangsi Ba tree, where all of you gopis came to do Rasa Leela with him. And then I saw Krishna and you leave the Rasa Leela, and then I saw how Krishna left you weeping, and how you were rolling on the ground and lamenting, and Krishna couldn't have cared less. I didn't see a tear fall from his eyes. And then Radharani was explaining that actually I know Krishna's heart, and I know that he loves me more than any other gopi, because this demigoddess is saying how he leaves you and goes to other gopis. So the demigoddess said, well, if you're so happy because you know Krishna's mind, how come you were lamenting? So Radharani said, sometimes I forget that I know Krishna's mind. But then Radharani said, actually, some people say that Krishna knows my heart and I know Krishna's heart. But that's not really true. The real fact is that Krishna and I are one. We're not two. We're one soul. We're just like one stem and two flowers, a blue flower and a yellow flower. Or we're like one candle with two wicks and two flames. So then the demigoddess disguised Krishna said, well, if that's really the fact, that you're one, that means that if you would meditate, close your eyes and meditate on Krishna right now, he would be present right now. So she said, yes, that's a fact. So then Krishna said, okay, prove it. So Radharani starts closing her eyes like a yogini and meditating. And in the meantime, Krishna immediately takes off his demigod disguise and is in his Krishna dress. And he went like this to tell the other gopis there not to say anything. And then Radharani opened her eyes and she began crying so much seeing Krishna there. And that proved that her meditation was so powerful. And so then she saw Krishna in her heart and externally there. And then she said, oh, where's the demigoddess that was just here? And Krishna said, what demigoddess? I don't believe there was a demigoddess that came from heaven and was here on earth. And Radharani said, yes, there really was. So Krishna said, okay, let's go there and you can prove it to me. So they went in the house and all the other gopis went home. Okay. Huh? What? And then the other, this picture that you saw in a flash, this will be shown tomorrow when we show the paintings that were done under Prabhupada's direction. Okay. You're doing Chamatkar Chandrika now? And the other painting that Gurudev had told us to do in that 2-week period, which we didn't, is the Chamatkar Chandrika. Krishna very often, as mentioned, disguises himself as a woman and he'll do anything to get to meet Radharani and to get to have her get rid of her man, her sulky mood, transcendental loving jealous anger. So she was in man now and nothing was working. So he came with his girl cousin Kundalata to Yavat, to another time when Radharani's in-laws weren't there. And now he's disguised as a girl singer from Mathura. So Kundalata is telling Radharani, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Kalavati. Kalavati means, Kala means art. So Kalavati means one who is into the arts. Performing arts, singing is a performing art. And she was singing Mathura, and then Brihaspati came. Brihaspati is the priest or spiritual master of the heavens. And Brihaspati came down to earth, and he was singing, and immediately Kalavati was able to imitate the quality of his singing and the same tune. So Brihaspati thought, none of my general students were ever able to do that. And somehow or other this girl is able to do that. And he was so impressed by her that he took her to heaven, to his heavenly planet, and he trained her up for 1 year. you realize this is a lie that Kundalita is telling. So in the lie, so he trained her up for 1 year, then he brought her back to earth, and now she's the most famous singer in Mathura. So Radharani said, okay, let's hear her sing. So then she began to sing so beautifully that Radharani's heart melted, and all the gopis, you can see the gopis there, their hearts all melted, and they began to weep. And then Radharani said, oh, she was so pleased, and all her man went away. She said, I'm so pleased, I want to give you one of my ornaments. So she began to tie one of her ornaments on the neck of Kalavati. So now Lalita realizes who she really is. So she went over to Radharani and began whispering, oh, you know, she's your near and dear Saki. Why just give her an ornament? You should give her a whole outfit and a whole set of ornaments. So now Radharani got it, I guess by the touch and by hearing. So she said, oh, Rupa Manjari, go and get one of my garments, my whole outfits, and a whole set of ornaments. We should give this as a present to our near and dear Saki, Kalavati. So Rupa Manjari got everything, and Kundalita said, no, she's too shy. This will never do. She'll never take off her garments to put on new garments. Just give her the garments, she'll take it home. So Radharani said, shyness is a very good quality for a girl, but not amongst just us girls. And then the gopis all grabbed Krishna as he was trying to get away, and took off his, started taking off his skirt and his choli, and all of a sudden, 2 big kadamba flowers fell out of his choli. So you'd think, and they fell to the ground, you'd think that he'd be humble enough to just admit that he was doing buffoonery, because they called him a buffoon. But what did he do? He indignantly picked up the 2 kadamba flowers, put them back in the choli, and walked off in a huff. And where did he go? He went to Jatila, and he had this whole new act. The girls did this play for Gurudev in Australia? In Australia, I think they did that. Mathura. That's right. In Mathura. And I think some of the girls are here who did that. So Krishna went to Jatila. Was that Mohini? Who was Krishna? I forget who it was. She went to Jatila and she started wailing that I'm from Barsana, and I was Radharani's friend when she was young there before she married, and somehow or other she became angry with me, and she stopped speaking with me, and she hasn't spoken to me all these years, and I just can't live without her. So Jatila became very angry, and she said, I'll see to it that not only will she speak to her, but you'll spend the night in my house. So she immediately brought Krishna, Kalavati, what her new name was. She brought Krishna there, and she started chastising Radharani and told her the story. Radharani immediately picked it up from there and said, no, it's not me who won't speak to her. I'm not angry at her at all. It's Kundalita, Krishna's cousin. She won't speak to her. And Kundalita said, no, we're near and dear. We love each other. So then, I forget whether it was Radharani or Jatila said, well, if you're so near and dear, and you're not angry, then let's say you embrace. So the cousin was not going to embrace Krishna. She's not in that rus. So she said, no, I can't. So then Jatila said, that proves that it's you, not Radharani. So then, like that, real quick, they embraced each other and jumped back. And then Jatila was very happy. Radharani and the gopis were very happy that Krishna got embarrassed like that. And Jatila, they're always happy when Krishna is defeated by Radharani. And then Jatila was so happy, and she says, you have to spend the night here tonight. So that was that pastime. Okay. What's next? I'd like to ask if you could show show one line drawing after another. And this is the Prem Samput, Chamatkar Chandrika line drawing. And we're going to be selling the originals of all these pen and ink line drawings to raise funds for Navadvip. And you'll be hearing about that gradually later and gradually also. Okay. And can you show, and she's going to be showing all these. This one is the line drawing for the Krishna and Radharani and the gopis splashing at Radhakund. And everything was done under Gurudev's direction. Where there was some error, he said how it should be changed. And also we're going to show you some line drawings for Gurudev's Gita Govinda book. This is before the Govardhana drawings, under his direction. And when we showed him the line drawings, before we figured out the style that he wanted, he wouldn't speak to me at all. Again, every time I went up to him, he just totally ignored me like I wasn't there. If I left him my obeisances, he would walk away before I got up. And he kept saying, this here Radharani is too old, this is unclear. And then finally we started doing the inks. And I hadn't done inks in about 12 years. But somehow or other the inks started happening, and then he started getting more pleased, and then he started giving more direction how to complete them, what Radharani is thinking, how she should be sitting. This we showed. This is a preliminary sketch by Manjari for Hanuman carrying Hanuman carrying Govardhana. And that later on became the pen and ink line drawing, which later on became the bas relief that you saw. I think that's all for the line drawings. Is there any other? No, that's it. That's it for the line drawings, and there's about 20 or so more line drawings. Oh, that's Anukut. Yeah. This is, this is the Anukut drawing, which the Anukut painting came for. And most of this was done by Manjari also, from Oregon. And then she engaged other artists in assisting her. And these are all going to be sold for donations for Navadvip. Okay, thank you. And now back to the... Oh yeah, and now... No, this is fine first. And this is the painting, the original painting is in Vrindavan Prabhu's house, where Gurudev stays in Hawaii, and where hopefully at least many of you, if not all of you, will see him in a few days in Honolulu. So this painting, every single detail of the painting was under Gurudev's guidance. And we have G-Clays, as many of you know, that is very large, highest quality in the world reproductions, which we're also going to be distributing for donations for Navadvip. And I think Budara Prabhu and the Swambha Prabhu will tell you about that. And the G-Clays actually, to my sense, looks better than the originals, and also they're bigger than the originals. So all of these paintings that I'm going to show you now all came from Gurudev's heart. And in fact, one of them, that is the Sevakunj, when Gurudev asked me to see that painting, he asked me by saying, "Can you paint my heart?" So this one also, Gurudev posed for some of the people and explained exactly, he even posed for the cows. He made his hands go like that, and when I was showing him the drawings and I didn't get it right, because the ears were out, he showed me, no, they're up. Now the ears of the cows should be up like cups,
and the grass, they had started to eat the grass, but then when they heard Krishna's flute, they became stunned like statues. And they took Krishna, they embraced Krishna, and took him into their hearts. And meanwhile the grass is just hanging from your mouth. It's neither being swallowed, nor is it falling from your mouth. It's just hanging there. And I had painted that golden deer, that's the lady deer, the wife deer, in another way, in the long way, like the long way where the whole body showed, but then Gurudev told me to change it, where, or was it the male deer? I forget. Gurudev had me change the deers so it would be exactly the way we wanted them. And then this, you can see Balaram. Balaram is close to us, and it looks like he's leaving his lifetime. You can see, because of his sidelong glance, that he's looking behind him, and he's watching what's happening, but he's getting out of the way with the other elderly carrier boys, so that the pastime could happen. Where do you think the gopis are? Radharani and the gopis? They're at home, and they're singing Venu-Geet. And because of their absorption in Venu-Geet, they end up in the place where they're singing about. And that's the whole idea of doing bhajan. That is, you get so absorbed, that's called avesh, or absorption in the words of what you're saying, absorption to the point where you become one with what you're singing about, and they enter your heart and you enter their heart. So Radharani and the gopis entered into the forest through their bhajan, through their heart. They entered into the forest, and the forest entered into their heart. So now Radharani is in the kunja, and really, when we were talking to Gurudev about this, he said they should just be peeping out. But I said, but I want to glorify Radharani by showing her more than just a little peeping out. He said, then glorify her. And then I said, but then you'll be able to see her too much. So how should it be? So he said, yes, make it like you can see her, but still she's in a hiding way. And there's one of her manjaris, who is holding, I don't know if you can see it from there, but when you see the decoy from close, you can see that just behind Radharani's, on her back, you can see that there's a branch, but then there's like some brown, a point brown, looking like this, coming around the back of her back. So that is the hand of that manjari in pink. And she's holding onto Radharani's waist. So when Gurudev was looking at the pain in her belly, when he was at a certain stage, I said, Gurudev, the manjari is holding onto the waist of Radharani. Is that okay? So Gurudev said, yes, otherwise her waist would break, because when she's in too much ecstasy and falling this way and that way, Raghunath Goswami prayed that when will I be able to hold on to your waist when you're walking to Nanda Bhavan, and in your ecstasy you can't stand up straight, so your slender waist might break. So when will I be able to decorate you with with what do you call it? A waist belt with threads of, what did you say about the threads? The sash is red, tassels with black threads and flowers all over it. So Gurudev said, yes, she's holding, this manjari is holding Radharani's waist so that it won't break. So the description is given in Venu-Geet, how Krishna has a flower, and Gurudev said, paint the flower with on one ear, not the other. And he said, Krishna's like a debonair playboy. When I was showing Gurudev just the sketches, he's like a debonair playboy. Whenever one of the sides of his face is facing the gopis,
he has the flower in that ear. And then when he dances around and faces the other way, he puts it on his other ear, so they can always see it, and he always shows himself in his best light. And you can see the Jamuna River. You can see sort of her waves are looking like hands, because she's holding up the lotus with the waves, with her hand waves. Oh, and you see that Balaram is holding a bugle in his hand? So the bugle is made of buffalo horn. So I asked Gurudev, how can I make a buffalo horn bugle? Because it would hurt the buffalo if you take off his horn, pull off his horn. So Gurudev said, no, the buffalo horns are made of leaves, green leaves. So therefore we painted the buffalo horn green. And you see those, just to show you how everything in the painting came from Gurudev. Balaram and the elderly cowherd boys are leaving because Krishna's not going to do any eye exchange or any kind of exchange with Radharani.